YouTube and friends. So I've been planning on doing this video for a really long time just because I get asked tips for new weightlifters like 5 times a day. So I might as well just make it in one video and just give you guys the random tips that I came up with. There's 15 right here. I made it all on a list, so I'm gonna like read from it kind of and then elaborate. So, and they're not in any particular order. It was just like the order that I thought of it. So tip number 1, soreness. So when you first start a weight training routine, you're going to be sore. You're going to be sore pretty much every day. Be smart. So what I tell people, and especially clients that aren't used to weight training, you don't throw them into a heavy lifting routine that's really intense. Like someone who's never lifted before, I'm not going to give them my strength training routine because they're just going to be sore for pretty much a month and they're going to give up. So I don't think that's the best way to go about it. So I think the best way is to start off pretty small. So start off with your basic movements, do maybe 4 exercises per muscle, split up your muscle groups, or maybe even just do like an upper body day and a lower body day. Anyway, that's off track from the soreness aspect. So you're gonna be sore when you first start, like no matter what, any routine you're going to be. But it does get better with time, so you need to be patient. But people that have been lifting for a couple of months and are used to their routine and are used to lifting, they may not get as sore as they did at first, and they might see that as an indicator that they didn't do well or they didn't work out as hard as they could have, but that's not the case. So soreness, I don't use that as a measure of how great of a workout I've had. If I take a week or 2 off and then I come back, I'm always sore, even if it's the exact same workout that I used to do. But it doesn't mean I grew anymore. It just means that my body's not used to it. It means it's muscular damage. So being sore all the time could also be an indicator of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So I do not recommend gauging your workouts on soreness. If you are sore after every workout, that's great, but just make sure you are getting all your vitamins and minerals. Also, I am going to be marking off everything I talk about just so I don't do it again. Sweating. So sweating is your body's natural way of keeping yourself cool so you don't overheat and die, basically. But if you're not overheating, you're not going to be sweating. So don't gauge your workout's effectiveness on if you sweat or not, because I rarely sweat. I pretty much don't sweat unless it's like middle of July, aka now. And in St. Louis, it's like 100 degrees, 80% humidity every single day. So I sweat with every workout I have just because I'm so hot. But July is pretty much the only month I sweat in. I don't sweat ever, and I would say I have a pretty decent body, so do not gauge your workout on your sweat. Some people are gonna sweat more than others. It's definitely a genetic factor, so yeah, keep that in mind. So if you are first starting out your strength training routine, do not be discouraged if you are weak or weaker than you thought you were gonna be. When I first started lifting, I couldn't even do a girl push-up. It was really sad. Well, that's kind of when I decided I was gonna start lifting, is because I was doing Julian Michaels' 30-day shred and I couldn't do a single girl push-up. And I was like, wow, I'm really not strong. I need to start training. So it's definitely a process. I started off curling 5 pounds. Even with chest press for benching, I would use, I think, 10-pound dumbbells, and that was like extremely difficult for me. And now I can bench press 115 pounds. So you definitely have to work your way up to it. You are going to be weak. No one goes into the gym the first time lifting and deadlifts 400 pounds or squats 200 pounds. Just be easy on yourself, be realistic. Everyone has a starting point, and if your starting point is extremely weak, that's totally fine. There's so many people that experience the exact same thing, so don't let that discourage you either. So the most important part of anything, especially in terms of weight training and diet, is to stay consistent. So don't work out 5 days one week and then the next week work out once, and the next week work out twice, and the next week work out 7 times, and then back to 1. So try to keep consistent. It doesn't obviously your schedule gets in the way. You're a human being. So some weeks you're gonna be able to work out more than others. So some days you might work out 4 days a week, other weeks you may be able to work out 5. It just depends. Just stay consistent. Supplements. So this is tip number 5. You don't need supplements. I made a video about supplements. It was my first vlog about the supplements that I take. But when I first started lifting, I did not take supplements. The only thing I did was protein powder, and that was like twice a week. So protein powder is it's a supplement. Like, it's a supplement to your diet. So if you're not getting enough protein in your diet, protein powder is a great way to get that protein. But if you do get enough protein in your diet, you're wasting your money drinking a protein shake because there's no point in it. Same thing with all other supplements. So you can get every single thing from your diet that you can from supplements, is what I'm trying to say. Supplements are only there to supplement your diet. So eat a good diet, you'll be fine. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on supplements. Okay, so not seeing results. So people that first start strength training, you're not going to see results because it's an extremely slow process. Let me tell you that from experience. It's going to take a long time to see results. So if you don't see results after 3 or 4 weeks, just hold your horses. Keep doing it. If you don't see results after 6 months, then we can talk. But yeah, you're not gonna see results very fast. So you need to be patient and you need to be persistent. So those are my 2 favorite P's in terms of weightlifting. So patience and persistence. Make sure that you have them. Otherwise, you're not gonna be having too much fun. Also, when you first start strength training and you've never done that before, your central nervous system is going to get stronger. So for the first like 6 or 7 weeks, that's what's getting stronger. So if you go from lifting 5 pounds to lifting 20 pounds, that's most likely your central nervous system. It's getting stronger, and that's a very, very good thing. But you don't see results from that. You see results from muscle hypertrophy and your muscles getting stronger. So definitely be patient and allow for all of that to take place before you freak out. So tip number 7, and if you're watching this, you probably aren't too worried about it, but okay, girls, you won't get bulky if you lift. Women do not possess the testosterone to get bulky, and you may see girls that you think are bulky because they lift, but they're probably training a lot harder than you and I are, or they're probably on steroids. So girls are not gonna turn into the She-Hulk if they lift, and it's extremely hard to get bulky. I've kind of been trying to get bulky and it hasn't happened. So, and I've been training very, very hard. So definitely don't worry about that. Tip number 8, your diet. So I would say your diet is going to account for a large percentage of weight loss or muscle gain or whatever your goal is in terms of working out. So if you work out and you don't follow any kind of diet and you just eat whatever the hell you want, you're not gonna see results. I can guarantee you that. You can't out-train a bad diet. I'm sure you've heard that before. So you can't go and do a bunch of cardio and lift all these weights and then just have 3 dozen donuts and just be like, oh, I'm gonna be great. So you can have your donuts, you can have your chocolate, just make sure you're counting macros. So what macros are your carbs, fats, and proteins, and the combination of those make up your calories for the day. So if you want to figure out your macros, I suggest going to iifym.com and figuring that out, and then tracking your calories on an app. The biggest app I know of is MyFitnessPal. It pretty much has the largest database of any macro counting app, so I do recommend that one if you're going to do it. But make sure that you are eating your macros to coincide with your goals. If you want to eat whatever the hell you want. You definitely don't need to count macros. I don't count macros. I just think that you don't have to do it. It's great for some people, but it's not great for others. So if you just eat a healthy meal plan and then have your cheats once a week, I think that's a great way to go about it as well. Also, another thing in terms of diet is, so I guess that's tip number 8.5. Make sure you're eating enough. So when you're lifting weights, you need to, and your goal is to gain muscle, you need to be in a caloric surplus. You cannot gain muscle mass in a caloric deficit, I will tell you that. It's physically impossible. You cannot gain muscle in a caloric deficit. Listen to that again. Because your body is using all the energy to basically keep you alive, and it's not going to prioritize building muscle over keeping your heart pumping. So if you want to build muscle, you need to eat in a caloric surplus. Or maintenance. A lot of people eat maintenance, and that it's gonna be a lot shorter, and I guess I didn't include this in the app. So number 9, have a plan. So if you walk into a gym and you have absolutely no idea what you're doing and you're just gonna go work legs and arms and back and just like one exercise per muscle group, I don't think that's very effective at all. I think that you need to actually have a set workout plan written out for you that you're going to follow. Whether you have a personal trainer write it for you, whether you find it online, either way, I think having a plan is great. You can even ask just your friends that lift just for their workout routine, or like have them help you figure out one. You can also go to bodybuilding.com. They have a ton of workouts that you can follow that are great. So recommend that, have a plan. Correct form. So I think having great form is the key to building muscle and maintaining muscle and not getting hurt. So form is important even when you're just doing bicep curls, which may not seem like it is, but it is. So form, especially for deadlifts and squats, are like the key ones, I would say, because those are the weights that you're probably going to be moving the most weight, and you need to have proper form so that you don't hurt yourself. Because if you try and pull whatever amount of weight and you do it incorrectly over and over and over again, you will hurt your back, you're gonna hurt your legs, you're gonna throw something off, and you're gonna get hurt, and you're gonna be out of the gym for a while. So have proper form. I recommend watching YouTube videos and then watching yourself in the mirror and seeing how they align and try to fix it yourself. If you don't know how to do that, I would recommend getting a personal trainer at your gym or just someone who knows how to lift watch you and correct your form, so you don't get hurt. But form is important for pretty much every single exercise, so make sure that you either Google it or you YouTube just what the range of motion is and how to do it properly, because that's going to help you in the long run. 11, a spotter. So a lot of people message me saying they want to work out but they don't have a spotter for like deadlifts, but you don't need a spotter unless you're benching, in my opinion. So a bench press, you're laying down, you're putting the weight on your chest, and if you can't get it up, that weight is falling on your chest, it can roll to your neck and you can do some serious harm. So definitely, if you're going for like a max bench, have a spotter. Don't be stupid. You can just ask a random person at the gym to spot you for your bench. Most people will do it like without a problem. For deadlifts, you can't, if you can't get a weight off the ground, you just drop it. A spotter is not going to help you in any way, shape, or form with that. With squats, if you're going to squat in the squat rack without a spotter if you're going to, because if you get down and you can't get back up, you can just drop the weight on the bars and you can roll yourself out from under it. Having a spotter for squats is a good idea if you have one, but if you don't, that's not a problem as long as you are in the squat rack. Okay, so I also get this question a lot. Should girls work chest? And I say yes, because if you don't work chest, you're going to create muscular imbalances. So if you just work your chest, which a lot of guys do, you're gonna be hunched over and you're gonna walk around like this. And it might not be a bad idea for girls just to walk around straight like this, but it's going to throw everything off. So the more you train your chest, the stronger your shoulders get, the stronger your back gets. It's all a system, and you need to respect that system, and you need to work every muscle just not to create muscular imbalances. So definitely work chest, in my opinion. You don't have to be benching like 500 pounds, but you can do some push-ups, some presses, some flies, and call it a day. But I think you should definitely hit chest. Other thing with girls lifting, don't just work your glutes and your abs. That's not the way to go about it. You are going to create muscular imbalances, and it's just not a good idea in my opinion. And also another thing, crunches, okay, this is tip number 13, I actually did write this down. Crunches don't build abs. So to an extent. So if you do 1,000 crunches every single day, you're not really gonna have abs. So abs are definitely a combination of workouts plus diet. But I would say about 70% of abs are made in the kitchen. A lot of people that I know that compete, and myself, didn't really work abs during their competition. It's cardio and it's diet. And as long as you get to a low enough body fat percentage, that's when you'll see abs. But you won't see abs if you just do a zillion crunches. That's not the way it works, unfortunately. So definitely do your ab workouts just to strengthen your core, but don't solely focus on that. Heavy lifting, compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, help your core a lot more, in my opinion, like aesthetically, than just like doing a bunch of sit-ups. But you should do sit-ups as well, just so you have a strong core so you can actually do these other workouts. Number 14, strength training and cardio. Do not just do cardio to lose weight first and then start building muscle, because when you build muscle, you usually put on fat because you need to eat in a caloric surplus. But if you're doing strength training plus cardio and eating at a maintenance level, you're losing the fat with the strength training. And okay, so you're losing fat with the cardio, but you're also losing fat with the strength training, because strength training, if you train hard enough, you burn calories 24 to 48 hours post-exercise. It's called excess post-oxygen consumption, and your body is basically burning a ton of calories, and it's also building muscle because you're not in a deficit. So if you are overweight and you want to get into both strength training and cardio, do them both at the same time. Don't just try to lose weight via cardio and then try to gain muscle, because with muscle gain from like when you start off very thin and you're trying to build muscle, you're going to put on some fat, and it's kind of inevitable, and that's okay. But I think that's really discouraging. It's what I did, but if I could go back in time and tell myself what to do now, I would definitely have started strength training like 7 months before I did, because I think it would have helped me overall, and I think I would be a lot further in my journey than I currently am, just because when I was doing cardio, I was very thin and very frail and very weak. So I do recommend combining both strength training and cardio if your main goal is weight loss and muscle gain. And then the last tip, number 15, if you guys are still even watching, is don't be intimidated by the gym. I think everyone is intimidated when they go into the gym the first time. Even when I join new gyms now, I'm still intimidated. But the thing is that no one really cares, which sounds really bad, that like, oh, no one cares about you, which they do, but in the gym, no one really does. So it doesn't matter what you wear, what you look like, your starting level, your activity level, what you're doing, as long as you're not being like crazy stupid and hurting yourself, no one's really going to look at you or care why you're there. Everyone at the gym is there to work on themselves and to build themselves up. They're not really there to put others down and to judge people. So definitely don't be intimidated. It's fine to go into the boys section and lift weights and be a strong ass girl, and that's okay. Don't be intimidated. Boys don't really care. Honestly, especially the boys I talk to, they don't really notice other girls at the gym unless they're like super hot, but they're not judging them in terms of like what they're lifting or not. Anyway, I hope these 15 tips have helped you and you take something away from them, especially newbie lifters.